Hi friends, welcome to First Studies YouTube channel. This is continuation to GitHub playlist. In this video, we will be discussing about how to stage the changes and how to commit the changes and finally how to push the changes. So you might be wondering what is stage, commit and push. So before watching this video, I would encourage you to watch my previous video where I have discussed about how we can pull the changes from the remote repository to the local repository, right? We have seen also how to connect the local repository with remote repository. So this is continuation video. If you don't watch that video, then you will not sense what is happening here. So please watch previous video and then only watch this video. Now, in our last video, we have connected our local repository with the remote repository and we have pulled all the changes from the remote repository into the local repository. Now let's try to see how we can do some development here. Maybe in the local repository, right, I will add one new file and finally at the end of the day, I want to take this file into the repository. So how these steps will happen in the GitHub. So let's check that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show this is my local repository. So in this repository, right? So right now I am in the my project folder. So that's where we created a local repository. And if you see, right click this, let me right click this and let me open in terminal. So when I open this in terminal, right? So when I am in the local repository path, I can execute this git status, right? So when I execute that, you can see the status of that particular repository. So if you can see it here, it says that this particular local repository was up to date with the main branch in the origin. Origin means your remote repository. Okay. So what is my remote repository is, if I go to the browser, you see, this is my GitHub account. You guys know this if you are following the videos. And when I am clicking the your repositories menu here, you see there is my repo. So with this repo, we connected the local repository. So this is my origin. Okay. So in this, we have this main branch, right? So from the main branch, my local repository was actually connected. So that's what it is trying to say. And whatever the files we have it here, we have everything in the local repository too. In any reason, if you want to, if you feel that in your remote repository you have more files and you have to pull them into your local repository before starting development, you should execute git pull command, right? So if I show you this, so we should generally execute git pull origin main. So when we execute that command, it will actually give you the files into the local repository. So let me go to my command prompt here, and here let me execute directly git pull. So when I execute this command, it says that my local repository is already up to date. So whatever I have in remote repository, it is already there in my local repository too. So I'm good to start my development. So assume that, so I'm working on this project. I felt a need of adding a Python file there and doing some check code implementation there. So I'm adding a new file here. Let me name this file as a maybe testing, and let me give the extension of the file as a python file .py, and in this file I will add some small piece of code. So let me open this testing.py file. So I double clicked it. Now in this file I am writing a print statement, and in the print statement, let me close this release notes here. So in the print statement I will be writing this is testing file. So let me save this. So assume that I have a python code here, and I added the python code as part of my development when I am working on this my project. Now what are the steps I have to follow to take this file into the remote repository? Because at the end of the day, I want to push this entire file or changes whatever I do into the remote repository, which is on the GitHub, right? So the steps what we follow here is generally these steps. So step one will be move the changes to stage. So we have to move the changes to stage environment. So once you move the stage, I will explain what is stage means. We have to commit those changes. Okay, so once you commit that, from there you have to push the changes to remote repository. Okay, so these are the high level steps what we do. So this stage and commit will happen actually within the local repo only. Okay, so what that means is, what is stage means? So imagine, so you may be assuming that, okay, I directly created a file here, which is testing.py in my local repository. So what is the point of saving it again, right? Because already it is already saved it here. So you will feel that sense key, what is this commit or save once again? See, whatever you saved it here, it is as per Windows, okay? As per Windows OS, you have saved the testing.py file in the my project folder. But to Git, right? So Git should sense that you did some implementation and you saved it. The process of doing that is adding the changes to the stage environment first, and then finally saving them using the commit. So staging means, imagine this way. So entering into a car. So we are all going and sitting inside a car. That is called stage. Now a driver takes the car by driving it into some destination. That is something like a commit. Commit means like actually saving. Okay. So whatever the changes you do, right? So ideally you should actually stage them using this command. If you see here, right, git.add command will help you add the changes whatever you do into the staging first. After that you will commit them into the local repository. Okay. So before doing that, you can use this git status -v command to see what changes you did it. Okay. And you see git add, and there is a dot symbol here. That means all the files whatever I changed it or whatever I added it, right? So move everything into the stage environment. So that's what that dot says. If you are specific, like I have created 10 files but I am specific to move a.python file, so I can give that file name also in the command git add file name. Okay, so let's execute these commands and see we did some changes, right? So let's go to the command prompt here. So let's try to run this git status -v command and see what changes it's showing. You can clearly see that it is saying that there is a new file added which is testing.py. That means it is able to sense what I changed it. Git is able to sense. So now what I will be doing it, I have to add this to stage. So git add, I will simply use this dot. That means add everything. So when I do that, so all the files will be added into the staging environment. Okay. So once you have added the files into the staging, now your immediate step should be committing that into the local repository or saving that. So for that, the command goes this way. So git commit, then use this flag called -m and give some message for the save, right? So you are committing something into the local repository. So enter some message. So we have to run this command next. So what I can do it now is, so I my changes are in stage. Now I can use this git, then commit, then -m, then in the double quotes added testing.py file. So that's what I can give. And when I enter this, now you see that it actually added this testing.py file, which is changed into the local repository. So that means now your local repository or local git actually knows that this is the file which is difference in comparison with the remote repository which is on the GitHub. So let me do one thing. So let me clear this. The command which we have to try is git status. So when I run that, now it says that you are on the main branch and your branch is ahead of here. So that means when you compare with the GitHub branch, right, you have one commit in your local, some changes which you have saved in your local. So use the git push command to move these changes into the GitHub as well. So right now, what we have added it, if you see here, right, so I have added this testing.py file, and if I go to my GitHub repository and if I refresh, I am not seeing the testing.py file here still. So commit means it is saving only to the local repository. So now from that local repository, I have to move to the remote repository. So to do that, what I will be doing it git push command directly. So whatever available in the commit, it will take them and it will push them into the GitHub directly. So I think it has moved everything successfully to the GitHub. Now if I go and refresh this here, I should see the testing.py file. You can see that you see the testing.py file and the commit related message what we added, right? Added testing.py file. The same message came even here as well. And what I can do, I can open this file and I can also see the code also here. You see, it has the print statement testing print. This is a testing file in the same file, right? Testing.py file. So this is how you actually implement the entire flow, like adding a local repository, pulling the changes or the files from the remote repository to the local, and once we pull that, start working, and after that the changes you have to stage and you have to commit and then you have to push to the remote repository. So this is what we did it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, consider hitting the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.